spiritual path basically of Islam, but like spiritual paths of every religion, there's a similarity, and every spiritual path is leading towards the one goal, which is the one God.
The one God.
Called by many different names. So in Islam we have the Sufi path, and the Sufi journey is one has to be very dedicated to the journey. There are people on the perimeter, but then the people who are really traveling on the journey are very serious about reaching their goal. And the Sufi path is a path basically of knowledge and of love.
So this is very similar to the Bhakti culture in India.
Yes, yes.
So Kabir is the same.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And for the people of Sufism, we have complete love of creation, love of all of Allah's creation.
What attracted you to Sufism all the way from Australia?
Well, actually, I became a Muslim 22 years ago, and when I was very inspired, actually, in the Sahara Desert in Algeria. So my big sort of revelation came in the Sahara Desert in Algeria. But Islam just for me was my destined path. But then as I got into Islam, I realized that there was the Sufi message of love for the whole of humanity, not segmenting everybody, that you wanted to have that flow of love to everybody. And that was the embodiment, that was what Sufism was, the purification of yourself and then giving love.
Yeah.
And that's what absolutely appealed to me, and then I got into the spiritual path and undertook all of the, I mean, the same as somebody in yoga will do the yoga exercises, and somebody...
So you went and did all the spiritual exercises.
Yes, alhamdulillah.
When you mentioned you found God in the Sahara, it's like you found God in nothingness. You know?
Exactly.
So where there was nothing, there was God.
And it was like this vast emptiness was so full. You know what I mean? It was so full of the divinity that it was overpowering, unbelievable.
How do you relate that to the qawwali of Mr. Sabri?
Well, the way I described it in my book is that I'd been a Muslim, I'd been traveling the Sufi path, but then when I encountered qawwali, it took me very deeply into it. It took me so much more deeply into the meaning of Sufism. And so, I mean, my love of God just increased immensely because of the qawwali, you know? Even though I didn't even understand the language. Yet I could... I mean, that's the thing, you know? I could understand a few words, but it's like it went beyond the mind and went straight to the heart. And music is universal, and then the qawwali message, it was quite very, very powerful.
So music is a universal language.
Absolutely.
And you don't need to translate it.
You don't need to translate because the heart's going to understand.
By birth, बच्चा जब पैदा होता है तो रोता हुआ होता है.
Yeah. He cries when he's born. It's a kind of music.
रोना और गाना हर इंसान का पैदाइशी हक.
So crying and singing is the birthright of every human being.
Yeah, that's very nice. Yeah. And the music it's a beautiful way of spreading that message of love. I mean, you know, the big concert we had on last Saturday night, I mean, it's just a message of love to everybody.
Yeah.
And it overcomes everything, race, creed, nationalities, everything. You go past all of that and beyond. And that's the beauty of it. And so the Sufism and the qawwali have just all become blended and very, very beautiful. Yes.
You mentioned that you got into qawwali after you were a banker for a year, almost a year.
Yes.
And that was because your brother said, why don't you join us? And God just is what comes out through my mouth?
Absolutely, I am just like a dust. And I hope so, my God is happy with me if I do the good work, pray and humanity and welfare. You know,
that reminds me, I read that you are also involved in a lot of projects to help people who have been victims of calamities or any other help that you might give for welfare.
qawwali जो कि एक welfare system है, इसमें 8, 10, 12 आदमी जो होते हैं उसमें काम तो 2-4 ही करते हैं, लेकिन बाकी जो होते हैं वो, और उसके अलावा हमने अपने इस कव्वाली के ज़ोर पर सिंगापुर में भी, जब एक ज़माने में बहुत हैदराबाद दक्कन में जब सैलाब फ्लड आया था, वहाँ दुनिया में जहाँ जहाँ भी कहीं मुसीबत और वो आती है तो हम लोग पहले कोशिश करते हैं कि किसी तरह भी हिस्सा लें, और लेते हैं जितना भी हमारे में दम और ताकत है, तो अपनी, लेकिन हम तशहीर नहीं करते उसकी, वी डोंट
एडवर्टाइज,
आई डोंट लाइक,
लेकिन यू गो अहेड एंड जस्ट हेल्प एज एंड व्हाट यू कैन,
डू व्हाट वन कैन, यस,
बिला तफरीक, कोई चाहे हिंदू हो, मुस्लिम हो, सिख हो, हत्ता कि जानवर तक, हम
नो बैरियर्स,
नहीं, हम जानवरों से भी इतनी मोहब्बत करते हैं जितनी इंसानों से।
इसी बात पे आप हमें 1-2 लाइनें और सुना दीजिए अपनी जो मनपसंद कव्वाली।
अपनी मनपसंद कव्वाली सुनाता हूँ। अब के साल पूनम में जब तो आएगी मिलने, इसमें भी एक फिलॉसफी है।
अच्छा,
देखिएगा कि वो इसमें थोड़ा सा सस्पेंस रखा है शायर ने कि अब के साल पूनम में, अब के साल पूनम में जब तो आएगी मिलने, हमने सोच रखा है रात यूं गुजारेंगे, धड़कने बिछा देंगे तेरे शोख कदमों में, हम निगाहों से तेरी आरती उतारेंगे। अब देखिए यहाँ तक तो ये समझ रहा है कि शायद किसी अपने लवर के बारे में कह रहा है, किसी फ्रेंड के बारे में कह रहा है, लेकिन जब ये मिसरा खुलता है उसका, तू के आज कातिल है फिर भी राहते दिल है, जहर की नदी है तू कितनी रस भरी है तू, पस्त हौसले वाले तेरा साथ क्या देंगे, जिंदगी इधर आजा हम तुझे गुजारेंगे। तो ये जिंदगी के बारे में, लाइफ के बारे में, वाटर ऑफ लाइफ,
the very beautiful song. It's all about how life is for you and somebody who has courage and the perseverance to go ahead and live life.
Absolutely.
With the help of God and belief in God.
Absolutely.
Allah.
No, it is indeed interesting because this was something that I did not know anything about. And I think it's a matter of divine timing. One gets to know only one when supposed to know.
Absolutely.
So I'm really, really fortunate that through India Talks and QTV I had this opportunity to meet both of you. And I'm sure, you know, through your book, The Water of Life, which basically talks more in detail about what you just sang, about life.
जिंदगी के बारे में, पस्त हौसले वाले क्या साथ देंगे, जिनका मकसद ही ये है कि खाना कमाना सो जाना। मज़ा तो जब ये है कि दर्द दिल के वास्ते पैदा किया इंसान को, वरना ताअत के लिए कुछ कम न थे खुर्रो बयां। इंसान को जो पैदा किया है इसी एक दूसरे की मदद के लिए, दर्द दिल के वास्ते किया। अगर जो वो कोई अगर गरीब है तो उसको हेल्प कर दी जाए, कोई परेशान हाल है तो उसकी मदद कर दी जाए।